Is that landing where you live?
So I'm somebody that answers this differently than many. I believe that tariffs are a tool in the toolbox. And if you recall, I said Donald Trump would win in 2016, and nobody believed me, and I was right. And it was one issue. It was trade. NAFTA was one of the worst pieces of trade legislation in the history of this country. It sent tons of jobs overseas, and President Trump came in. I worked with him. We renegotiated it. We have USMCA. The way that the tariffs are being done now is it's made a ping pong ball of the auto industry. I think they're a tool that we can look at. We need to be using them against China, but I think they're being selectively applied. The domestic auto companies are complying with USMCA. There's no way that in a month's time, when they have such an integrated inventory and production plans where a part will go over the border several times to make the changes that need to happen. So I want to work with this administration. I think the 25% tariffs are too high. They're placing an unfair burden. The autos are a ping pong ball and a big war. I want to bring manufacturing home. I want to bring supply chains home. We need an industrial policy. Tariffs are part of it. Let's just do it in a way that lets everybody plan for it.
The automakers, the big three, called President Trump. That was partly how this April 2nd push-off of some of these tariffs happened, their persuasion. Do you have any idea how long it would take to build the kind of plants and to bring all the manufacturing home like President Trump is asking of them?
So if everything were to go right, which, like in this world, does anything ever go right? It's going to take 2 to 3 years. Our suppliers also, there are many, and by the way, we need to immediately renegotiate USMCA. It's time to look at it. And I think we need to be treating Mexico and Canada as different trading partners.
You support this idea of Secretary Rubio was basically saying bilateral, not North America.
Canada would never let China build a plant in China and then market it as a North American vehicle. And we need to make sure that that never happens. I'm totally on board on that. But right now, as we're talking about the aluminum and the steel tariffs, 60% of aluminum in this country that's being used is coming in from Canada. You take a 25% tariff on that, the profit on automobiles is very small. It's not a big, the companies just can't eat that.
Right.
But we got to figure it out. I am not against trade policy. We just have to do it in a way that doesn't, I don't believe Donald Trump wants to destroy the domestic auto industry. I think we all got to work together to keep the domestic auto industry strong. And even as we're doing Canada and Mexico, do you realize that Korea and Japan are still able, they brought 2.5 million vehicles in, Korea with no tariff, and Japan with 2.5, not treating everybody equally.
S&P Global says there's potential for North American auto production to drop by 20,000 units a day starting this week. That's because of the tariffs. So it's having
all companies need certainty. Automobiles need certainty. They need to not be a ping pong ball.
Are you talking to the Commerce Secretary or the Trade Representative? Is there any conversation?
I have not talked to the Commerce Secretary. I've talked to Bob Lighthouser, who I worked very closely with.
The former advisor.
The former trade advisor. And I worked very closely with President Trump I said he would win. Democrats did a lousy job on trade. Speaking
of Democrats and their performance, I want to